Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's discussion with this prestigious panel on WPP Media's This Year, Next Year 2026 report, unveiling the definitive trends and insights shaping India's advertising landscape for the year ahead. India's advertising ecosystem is at a new juncture. We are currently seeing a massive shift in media consumption as it's fragmenting across target groups, even when commerce ecosystems are converging. Content creators are becoming economic engines, sports and entertainment are blatant in the shift towards IP businesses. Along with that, the onset of AI in our daily lives, redefining what content and its execution looks like, ROI and other measurement metrics have been under sharper scrutiny. Hence, to nobody's surprise, today's panel has three of the industry's biggest leaders who sit at the intersection of strategy, content, commerce, and execution. They represent the full spectrum of the modern Indian media engine. Our first guest is Mr. Ashwin Padmanabhan, the Chief Operating Officer for WPP Media South Asia. Ashwin is a seasoned business leader with deep expertise across broadcast media, advertising, e-commerce, and large-scale operational transformation. At a time when integration is no longer optional, Ashwin is helping define what execution at scale truly looks like. Next, we have with us Amin Lakhani, the President, Client Solutions of WPP Media South Asia, with nearly 25 years of cross-functional experience spanning media, marketing, trading, product management, and sales. Amin brings a rare combination of commercial sharpness and strategic depth, spearheading the launch of the exchange discipline in India. Amin also knows the HUL brand a little better than us. And finally, Mr. Vinit Karnik, who is the Managing Director, Content, Entertainment and Sports at WPP Media South Asia. Vinit brings over 25 years of experience across media, sports, entertainment and business leadership. Thank you, gentlemen, for making time for us. An opening question to all the panelists in one sentence. Please tell us, what is the single biggest shift that will define India's advertising ecosystem in the coming years?
Okay. So we're moving to a scenario where, you know, our clients will not have branding budgets or performance budgets. But what we will be aligning with them is business budgets and business goals. So I think everything that we do in media, how does it drive memory structures and how does it drive business outcomes are things that we're going to chase in 2026.
Any additions?
I would say that the evolution of a point of content consumption into a point of commerce, and the vice versa, a point of commerce actually evolving into a point of content consumption. I think those lines getting blurred
Yes.
will be a challenge and an opportunity.
I think data-driven marketing will take the center stage.
Yes.
And how would advertisers use social content, influencer marketing as key mediums is going to be the shift in my view.
Understood. Ashwin, I'll start with you. You spoke about content and commerce. So if we look at today's landscape, are we seeing advertisers demand more integrated growth across content, commerce, performance, and influences? Is this integration a reality, or it's still it's a lovely PowerPoint slide?
I think the truth is brands and organizations are demanding growth. I think, period. Everyone is seeking growth. What we are now figuring out is, if I have a finite amount of money to invest to drive that growth, where should I invest that money? How effective will it be for my brand? How long can I continue investing behind it? So, advertising and marketing is moving as a key driver of growth and not just, brand building. That language has changed in every boardroom.
Right.
And that language has changed in practice everywhere. That is how we get evaluated by our clients.
Right.
That is how our clients get evaluated by their boards.
Understood. So do you see some friction points that take place in execution when it comes to talent, tech, or partner ecosystem?
So see, to answer your question, the entire seamlessness is obviously a ongoing conversation, right? The moment we play a catch up with technology, the technology has this entire ability to jump 4 steps ahead, right? And therefore, in some form, the industry will always continue to play a catch up
Right.
from where technology exists, right? Consumers are really, moving ahead of us. For instance, if you look at the adoption of AI by consumers itself, and if you look at what Google has just declared that MAUs on Gemini itself is over 750 million, right? I mean, that's a massive number, right? And therefore, if your consumers are dealing with ahead of the curve technology, then how can brands and agencies like us leave that opportunity on the table? Right, and therefore it's always a catch up. And yes, there is this entire idea behind how do we bring all these touch points from planning to deployment to measurement under a single ecosystem to drive simplicity and increase effectiveness for our clients. I think that's the entire ambition, and in doing so is where we've launched WPP Open, which is our AI driven, operating system, where we're bringing in the entire funnel together with a single view of how it can help our planners, our buyers, our content architects, as well as our measurement experts to see the entire funnel through and through and advise the clients on what is working for them and what is not working for them.
So, I mean, is it safe to assume that we are moving beyond CPM efficiency to more business outcome accountability? And is outcome based trading models is India ready for that?
India is not only ready for that, India has already moved the needle on outcome based models because to what I began with and to what Ashwin also alluded to, is that we're trying to partner with our clients on driving business growth, right? And that's the single largest ambition that all of us are aiming at, right? And what is the most optimum way to achieve a sustainable business growth is the question on the table. And all of us, day in and day out, along with our teams, are working with the clients to really drive that.
Sure. Vinit, if I have to come to you on content specifically, uh, the ecosystem is diversified. The platforms have diversified. There's OTT, there's esports, there's creators, there's IPs, and there's live sports. Now, are brands spreading investments too thin, or we entering an era of multi IP growth phase?
We were definitely entering an era of multi IPs. So today, uh, marketeers are looking at every little cohort and trying to experiment. Okay, and actually, in a fragmented economy like this, what works for a brand? Actually, you can't answer that question in short term.
Right.
You will have to do things multiple times in middle and long term. You will actually know what works for me and what doesn't. Okay, therefore some bit of all of that you said is very, very imperative and important for brands to consider and invest in. And obviously we'll have answers over a period of time in terms of what exactly works, right?
So it's safe to assume that the walls between performance and marketing are kind of collapsing, or they still enjoy their own spaces.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. As I said, if your single largest objective is to partner with your clients to drive business growth, and therefore everything in if this is driven by the belief that everything that you do in media has a business outcome, then this entire line, I mean, we are living in a world where these lines have almost started to blur or almost blurred.
In fact, you spoke about content, you spoke about influencers and esports. All of these businesses have got a commerce layer to it,
Right.
and therefore business outcomes can be can be measurable,
Quantifiable.
yeah, absolutely.
Ashwin, if I have to come back to you, we keep talking about integration, but if I have to look at the brands ecosystems, well, we understand our own ecosystems, but if you look at the brands ecosystems, how are they structured today internally? If somebody has to execute a commerce-led brand growth instead of running a siloed media and marketplace mandate, how does that get structured?
I think the first, some things have remained same and some things have changed. What has remained same is that it is recognized that commerce is also one more channel for me to get to the end consumer, right? So it is run by the category heads in most places. In
Yes.
most companies, the category heads run commerce as a channel. And just like I would have budgets for any channel to promote my products, to ensure that my products are visible on the shelf, to ensure that my branding is preferentially visible over my competition's branding, just as I track my SOV in any kind of an existing offline retail channel, whether it is a modern trade or the general trade. Similarly, I have budgets to ensure all of this following in commerce as well, right? Now, the shift that is happening is that a lot of this is driven by a deep understanding of consumers on this platform, which we are able to harness at a real time. Which means specialists like us who brought this understanding at a larger media level are able to deploy our understanding of audiences at a platform level. Category understanding, category into audience, into platform understanding, time of the day understanding, all of these triggers into a meaningful deployment for a brand. So, in a way, you can say that marketing and channel budgets are blurring. You can also say that as an agency, our role is expanding to the way we can enable our clients to manage their channels. Traditionally, advertising agencies were not that involved in it.
Okay.
Right? Large part of it we were not involved. But today, our involvement with online commerce is extremely high. So we are also expanding our, in a way, services to our clients.
Right.
And a lot of that is happening naturally because you need to have deep understanding of audiences,
Absolutely.
which comes naturally to us.
Absolutely. I mean, if I have to stay on performance marketing budgets, they are expanding rapidly. At what point does aggressive optimization start eroding the long-term brand equity?
So, in our view, when we compare, for simplicity's sake, two brands in the similar category, where one is only focusing on performance marketing budgets and the other one has focused on a full funnel deployment.
Yeah.
Right? We see that brands which have deployed full funnel tend to get sustainable growth over a longer period of time.
Yes.
So I think increasingly, time and again, category by category, we've seen that a full funnel deployment is sustainable growth driver for brands and businesses. But yes, there are business pressures. Sorry,
Absolutely.
there are business pressures, and there are short-term, urgencies that unfortunately tilt this equation, right? But the sooner the businesses and the brands come to a full funnel deployment, the more sustainable growth it observes.
And honestly, what Amin's just said can be actually seen in the EBITDA margins of companies.
Okay.
If you do an analysis of EBITDA margins of companies and put them into two buckets, companies which are highly focused on acquiring customers through performance marketing, and companies that are focused through creating focused to acquiring and engaging with customers through multiple touch points, and like Amin said, through a full funnel approach, the EBITDA margins are so stark. When you take the full funnel approach, your margins are healthy, which means that the cost of acquisition of a customer when I only go the performance route is significantly higher and my profitability is low. This is clearly visible in numbers across multiple organizations today. So honestly, I don't think people should think too much about it now.
Right.
You have to do full funnel if you need to continue to have people coming into the funnel and make it more effective and efficient for you to acquire customers.
Vinny, content is king. You still agree now with what you've just heard? Because sports, entertainment, and influencer ecosystems are also measurable beyond awareness now. So are we also nudging towards that?
Content has been king for the last 40 years and it will remain king for another 40 years. So I mean, there's
That's
no
good to
doubt
hear.
about that. Yeah.
That's good to hear.
I think the biggest advantage, before you ask me your question, is, see, the reason why content is the king is because, see, content as a medium is a very interactive medium, it's not an interruptive medium, and that's what triggers the entire concept of pop culture, right? And that's the reason why, I mean, people follow content and not the other way around.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The reason why I said that is because when you talk about the full funnel, content does play a large role.
Yeah.
Because you need to continue sustaining and engaging your
Absolutely.
audiences. But as we notice in this specific spectrum, we are also looking at ROIs. We're looking at how many conversations are, or how many commerce conversations are opened up by a certain influencer or a certain platform. So do you see that this ecosystem is also relying heavily on this narrative justification of commerce is also being enabled?
See, if your question is directed in the direction of ROI, okay,
Yes.
that definitely is there. I mean, ROI is a very, very important aspect of whatever we do. See, at the end of the day, our clients come to us because we give them solutions which work for them. Which work for them not only from a business perspective but also from a cost perspective. So that's a given, right?
Yeah.
I think what's important is to understand that there needs to be a currency which is beyond ROI, right?
Okay.
So therefore, in the pop culture side of the business, in the content business, we often refer to this currency as ROO, okay, which is written on objectives. Because if my objectives definitions is strong and sharp, it's that much easier for us as agency to create ideas and solutions that work for the brand, okay, and then a combination of ROI and ROO becomes a very, very interesting metric to look at. And I think in our experience over the last decade or so, clients who have looked at it as sharply of a combination of ROI and ROO, mixed investments with objectives, I think those brands and those clients have been happier and done very well in the marketplace as well.
I also want to add here that, do you think Insta is a content platform? Do you think YouTube is a content platform? Where do you think the maximum performance campaigns run?
Instagram.
So content drives performance, right? I think I just want to rest my case there.
True.
That ultimately content helps you aggregate audiences. There are different ways to aggregate audiences.
Because the platform allows that. Instagram allows you to do that.
But yeah, so the fact is, it's not that content can't drive performance. What we need to acknowledge and understand, and I repeat myself multiple times on this, is that it's not enough to aggregate audiences.
Fair.
What you have to be able to do is to offer those audiences through technology in a meaningful manner to advertisers and brands to be able to reach and connect with those audiences. Any platform or any publisher who does that is able to deliver for the brand performance. I think that's really the crux.
So if I have to have a follow-up question on that, do you see that today's brands are fully aligned to full funnel, or that you feel that brands are now getting distracted by this performance word, with ROI and ROO getting somewhere jammed?
I think it's a mixed bag. We can't bucket all clients in. I mean, because
It's a trend.
the client in the brand world is not a monolithic world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are different objectives, there are different stages of where the brand is at,
Yeah.
where the business is at,
Yeah.
right? They have
Fair enough.
pressures of short-term targets, mid-term targets. So we really can't paint them, with the same brush. Yes, there are brands who are focused on performance. There are brands who are focused on, full funnel. And there are some brands which are in the journey in between somewhere there. So
Yeah, because in our recent interactions with most CMOs, when we pose these same questions, they also had different journeys of their brand life and their
Correct.
product cycle.
right.
But then they feel that at times they have to tweak towards performance and then
Sure
tweak
they do.
towards brand building. They have to keep moving towards it. There's no single formula that this is how the brand has to be built or this is how the business has to be grown.
Correct.
So I think that's where the sweet spot is, which is the right level you are in. I think that's where we want to land on. But if you have to determine the KPIs in terms of when I look at the full funnel measurement model, how would you look at it as a unified business KPI? Again, is it all landing on objectives or investment? As
So I
he
think
pointed out.
objective, so the first step is, what are we trying to achieve? Whether it's a campaign or a through the year deployment. I think what's the real objective, right? Once you align in the objective,
Then
that
the
is,
investment gets clearer.
then you look at where your audiences are, what are the platforms that they're consuming, and therefore how do you really move the needle?
Got it. Got it. So objective is still on the top priority. That's followed by the investment.
Yes.
Got it. Vinit, I'll come to you. In sports and entertainment ecosystems, how do you design a full funnel pathway? From it's because you have fandom, you have transactions also happening. Is that killing visibility in any way? You feel?
No, not at all. Actually, see, the thing is that three types of and when see if I have to define fandom, so fandom can be defined in three ways, right? Okay, one is a fan, one is a flirt, and one is a fanatic.
Okay.
Okay, and if I have to put the marketing funnel, okay, and put these things, I mean, obviously distinct measures I will take to reach out to these three cohorts, right? Okay, so this is the sporting funnel, I would say. Okay, fans, flirts, and fanatics, and there is no one size fits all formula. Like for example, a fanatic would be more statistically driven, would want to know more about what happened in three matches before. I mean, what was the fifth ball? Is there a difference in fifth ball? Bumrah bowls between the second ball he bowls. So that's a deep dive a fanatic would want to do.
Right.
But a general fan would just want to be having fun with the game, right? And a flirt would be just be there for social media
Right.
and want to be I'm there. So all these three cohorts are important to me.
Right.
Okay, but my conversations with them will change
Will differ.
from time to time.
Of course.
Correct.
Okay, we'll come to the report now. This year, next year, 2026, based on this report of 2026, what are the most definitive shifts shaping India's advertising trajectory this year and next year? Growth drivers, sector acceleration, or structural transformation? What do you feel would be the definitive one?
I think if you look at it, this year we've done some fundamental changes in the way we've reported numbers.
Okay.
Right? And this is basis the recognition that generally calling digital as digital or TV only as linear TV doesn't make sense anymore.
Right.
Right? And we all recognize that TV is getting distributed through multiple ways today. It's getting distributed through cable, through satellite, and through internet. So that's a recognition we've done. So which means when we talk about the growth of print, or we talk about the growth of TV, or we talk about the growth of location-driven advertising, which is primarily out of home and ambient media, we've included all forms, whether they are offline or online. Right? So that's one fundamental shift we have made. We also started reporting data on the basis of within digital itself, commerce. There's another category which we call as intelligence. Intelligence is spends that typically are driven through search and now with AI, and hence the category being intelligence. So two fundamental shifts really. Digital not being one monolithic number, but the recognition that digital is actually multiple mediums, and the fact that digital formats of traditional mediums need to be counted within the traditional medium itself. So that's one fundamental shift, and that's reflective of the nature of how we're consuming all of these mediums today. Right? Coming to where do we see really the growth coming in from? If I talk about sectors, it's really the SME sector which has been driving the advertising growth for our ADX growth over the past few years. And that's true this year as well. We're adding close to about 17,800 odd crores of incremental advertising this year in 2026. That's our projection. Out of which almost 10,000 crores is going to come from SME.
Okay,
Right?
that's big.
So really SME continues to drive our growth, which means it's not like large existing clients are going to spend more. It is just that more clients are going to come into our advertising formal economy, and that will lead to the growth. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is that we're seeing commerce, for example, grow. We're predicting it to grow at almost 24%, right? TV, including its digital extension, to be about 3.5%, which is fantastic, really, because we've not seen a growth environment in TV for some time, right? So that's good news. Same with print. So all round there is growth that we are seeing and recognizing across the board, but commerce primarily driving, intelligence also driving, because we see adoption of AI in search increasing, and that leading to further use cases for advertising as well coming in. I mean, you want to add some more?
Perhaps print India would be the only market
Yes.
where we continue to grow.
Yes.
And it's an incredible way, the way that industry has shown resilience, and showcasing that the power of curated, authentic
Credible.
content and credible content really is making the connections, especially the vernacular language piece within that. So I thought that was very, very encouraging and interesting. The other very interesting part within the commerce space is the coming of age of retail media in India, right? We don't speak enough about it, but the opportunity of retail media in India is just spectacular. The kind of data cohorts, uh, you know, the kind of consumer sizing, the opportunity for brands to really move the needle from just pure reach and numbers to relevant reach, is now a reality in the India media, scenario, right? The other point that I just want to add is that the evolution and the fast pacing penetration growth of connected TVs. I think it's spectacular because TV as a household habit is not changing. But
Plus
now,
multiple TVs in one single home.
yes, and now you have the opportunity to really sharpshoot and find and target, really at a granular level. Currently at a pin code level, but we could actually go towards, even far more granular approaches to really driving customized content, granular content approaches to these households. And also then tracking, add to carts or, transactions on e-commerce and performance marketing channels as well. So I think it's fascinating the way we are seeing this. And therefore, to the point that the funnel right now, which is any which way is not linear, but it's also coming together, it's also collapsing in a way.
I think that makes Vinny's job much easier because you'll be able to sharp target the cohorts depending on who's consuming what content.
Actually, it's not easier. It's far more complicated because earlier he could do with a 30-seconder and then translating that into multiple pieces of languages. Now he has to identify a cohort. He has to find the language. He has to find the platform, and then make content accordingly.
So what's happening, just to build on what Amin is saying, what's happening is, India is a very diverse country in multiple ways. Our every 200 kilometer, our dialect changes, our food habits changes, our dressing sense changes. And therefore, today with AI, what's happening is we're able to geo-target all these things from a language perspective, from a taste perspective. So, for example, take an example of influencer marketing. Okay, I think the two most popular categories would be fashion and beauty, right?
Right.
But the influencers that work in, say, Western Maharashtra for fashion and beauty may not work in eastern part of Maharashtra. The influencers that work in AP Telangana may not work in TN. Okay. And so is the content.
Yeah.
Okay, because obviously within the content
Of course.
style pattern changes, right? So Amin is right. I mean, it's not simple. It's complicated, but it's fun.
Exactly. It
It's
gets
fun.
more interesting.
It's fun because I think it's a great jugalbandi between human and machines. Okay, a human mind, if used in a appropriate way, in a creative way, can get great output out of machines at scale. Now, this is exactly what we are trying to attempt.
And just to add to Vinit's point, technology, and especially AI-driven technology, is disrupting daily, right?
Absolutely.
We've just seen how Clawbot, or OpenClaw as they're calling it now, has completely disrupted, right? Claude as well, right? So, but how it has disrupted. So, in fact, there is a case study I was reading yesterday about exactly the same use case that Vinit spoke about. Clawbot is using, it's built 4 agents. So you're using that, you've built 4 agents. One agent is doing A/B testing constantly. Another agent is deploying the creatives and testing the creatives for the kind of engagement that is happening. There's another agent which is actually taking all that feedback and feeding it back to the engine which is making those creatives. And on a daily basis, there are 500 creatives being made, deployed, tested, and basis that budgets are being increased, decreased, and creatives are being junked or new creators are being made and done across multiple languages, real time at the same, in literally real time. Now, that is something which we could have never imagined we could ever do. But AI and technology is enabling us to do things which we couldn't do ever. And it's going to become part of our lives, honestly. And this is why, if you look at our trends report, you would have seen AI seeping into different trends in different ways. And that, I think, will be the biggest disruptor for advertising as we move ahead. Not just the creation of content, but it's also the way it's deployed, tested, and then marketed.
So since we
Now,
are
think about this as an example into the world of sport.
Yeah.
Okay, you take cricket, you take football,
hockey,
you take any sport. Okay, real time, you are able to take insights from what's happening on social media chatters. Okay, another agent actually works on those insights and builds in the creatives. Okay, and another agent actually gives you a sense on deployment. Okay, and it's all happening in one room, real time, between a man and a machine. I think so that's a great times that we are in, right?
absolutely. Since we are on the topic of AI, I wanted to check with you all: is AI redefining media planning, trading, content, as you all rightly put, or where has actually AI generally reduced operational friction for this ecosystem when it comes to media planning?
So I think across all parts of the value chain, right, there is a role that AI, we are finding that AI can help us in improving our game across all parts of the value chain, right from media planning to like what Vinit was mentioning, about identifying insights, to helping us generate content at scale, to also finding the right cohorts to deploy, and and then pull it back, right? So I think there is a use case for AI across all the stages, right? And therefore we are trying to embrace that. We've been the first to call out and embrace the entire AI backed technology, and some of these things we will start to unlock come first week of April, when all our critical people are trained, and are in the market along with the clients, building the next best use case of AI, right? Simultaneously, there are multiple experiments which are currently happening as well. So I think AI, we are embracing AI front and center of things. We feel it is going to help us really improve our game, become far more effective. Uh, we feel that we will let AI do our math and help us scale, and our people will be then allowed and freed up to really do the strategic conversations, to really dial up on the human insights bit, and to really dial up their engagement with the clients on strategic conversations.
I think this is playing out as we speak. What you know, Amin just said. And a very senior McKinsey partner based in the US, she spoke about the impact of AI in jobs within McKinsey. And what she spoke about was that AI has allowed them to actually automate a lot of back-end crunching of data and inciting that happened, which needed a lot of time as well as people behind it. So they've done that. But more importantly, she said they were able to hire, they've actually increased their people fronting clients by more than 20% in the past 6 months. And which is what Amin is saying.
Got it.
Yeah.
And I
And
think-
they made this big announcement during the CES earlier this year, in the first week of January. McKinsey went ahead and said that the only place where we're recruiting is on client facing.
So is it safe to say that the competitive edge is shifting from negotiation power to proprietary data intelligence? Is that the track we are looking at right now?
Actually, no. There's always proprietary data and intelligence which gives you power.
Okay.
Right? The format of that proprietary data and intelligence is changing.
Okay.
Earlier, also, if I had better understanding of pricing in the market, I had power to negotiate better. Even today, proprietary data and intelligence will give me that power.
Fair.
Right? So, in that sense, the fundamentals have not changed. It is just that what I'm capturing has changed, how I capture it has changed, and the frequency with which I refresh things have changed.
Right.
That's what is a shift we need to make.
So, Vinit, if I have to come to you on generative AI lowering the cost of content, uh, is premium entertainment become more valuable, or it's become just hygiene now?
See, to me, there is nothing called as mass entertainment and premium entertainment. It's entertainment.
Right.
Okay? Today, most of the entertainment properties that you would qualify or you would qualify as mass are watched across the funnel, like across spectrum, right? I
Right.
mean, take cricket for that matter, right? I mean, everybody watches it
Test
as
cricket?
mass as it gets.
Test cricket.
Yeah, as
Yeah,
mass as it
actually,
gets.
if you
right?
look at India, England, everybody watched it.
Yeah.
So that's not the whole point. The point is, am I able to use AI to have sharper and smarter creative ideas? I think a day in life of my team, okay, starts with AI tools, okay, because our job is to ideate, okay.
Yeah.
We thrive on ideation, okay. Our first port of call when we are in the room, clients expect us to come up with the kick-ass ideas, and that becomes base for the conversation and the campaigns thereafter, right? Today the team has the whole universe around them to ideate and bounce back. And guess what? I mean, supposing an idea comes into my mind, it's not an AI driven idea. And if I have to put that into an AI agent and say, what if, how would this idea be treated or thought if it was, if David Ogilvy had to think about it? Okay. I have that option to challenge my own thoughts and go as deeper and as sharper as it gets. Now that will make our lives smart, okay, in no time, right? That's one. Second, when we are talking to a client, our homework about the client and client's business on
Yeah.
what we know already becomes much more sharper
Yeah.
because the category understanding comes into play.
Yeah.
So our ideas are backed with a very, very strong reasoning of the client's business.
Correct.
Okay. And then comes the most important aspect of actually creating it and deploying it. So this is the journey we are using AI for, and it's given us great results till now, and we're just getting started, by the way.
So, Vinit, if I have to stay on that, how do agencies ensure governance, brand safety, and measurable ROI or ROO in influencer ecosystems? If suddenly if AI comes into play right now, so how are you ensuring that transparency also then?
That's a very, very important point, and that is something which keeps me awake at nights, because we at WPP Media are highly sensitive to all these governance and compliance and all of that. So therefore, the ASCII guidelines, ASCII has done a damn good job in defining guidelines, okay, and those guidelines are also evolving. But then it's up to us internally. How are we developing them and making sure our teams are aligned and understanding on the importance of those guidelines and following it in our day-to-day lives.
Right.
And we have a great support team in terms of our finance, our legal, who are supporting us in driving those important compliance-led decisions based on what ASCII has defined.
And just to add, tech can be a double-edged sword, right? So at one level, it can lead to questions around what can be done and what cannot be done, data privacy, etc. But at the same time, especially in the influencer space, AI and the application of tech is enabling us to potentially weed out communication and creatives which either are not brand safe
Right.
or not as per brand guidelines.
Understood.
A lot of that which had to be done by humans at
Manually.
scale can be done now by automation, can be automated actually. Right. And it is not just automation which is dumb, but it's automation which is able to think and actually act on it. So technology is really helping us with that.
So, I mean, if I have to ask you, keeping all these parameters in mind and the transparency factor, how will trading models evolve now?
Trading models are already evolving in many ways, right? Because the landscape has evolved, right? There is a significant amount of play that the platforms are bringing into the picture, right? And the platform's ability to negotiate or to the ability to drive prices or revenue was based on the logic of the algorithm that they've played out, right? All their algorithms are there to help them have a larger share of attention largest share of time spent by the consumer that they are talking to, right? And therefore, the ability of somebody who's sitting on our side of the table is that how do I decode that to ensure I get the right price, the best price point for my client. Now you could do that manually, or now you have AI-enabled tools itself, and there are dedicated startups which we kind of deeply partner, or our in-house tools that are helping us really help us. How do we find the next best demand moment within the entire algorithm of the platform, and our ability to land the clients, objectives within that. So I think we are working on that. It is progressive. So far, we've been winning, and hopefully 2026 will bring a lot more wins.
Understood. Ashwin, if I have to look at the ask you to look at give a macro view, is consolidation of partners and marketplaces inevitable for efficiencies? Is that something that everybody's looking at from different lenses?
Okay, so if I look at it from a perspective of us as an agency and of on behalf of my client, I would say disintermediation is a challenge. I would say that uh, I may not be for consolidation,
Okay.
right? But if I look at platforms, if I look at publishers, if I look at their business
Yeah.
models, if I look at their, concerns about being able to continue for longer, consolidation will happen, right? And
Okay.
we're seeing
You can't
that
stop it.
globally. We've seen that in India as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's not about what we desire; it's about how we see value in the development of the ecosystem and how we continue to be relevant for our clients in the advice that we offer them, which helps them drive growth. So that is the reinvention
Yeah.
we have to make.
Yeah.
We may have very little control over what happens
Correct.
with the market and with the regulation.
I think just to add to this, and if I were to step back a little bit, if you look at it, there is a pre-COVID and a post-COVID world, right? And in the post-COVID world, what we've seen year-on-year basis is that all the principles that we were grown up with have got either challenged or destroyed, right? And therefore, every day that we come to office, we're trying to find that how do we really navigate into this new equation or a new variable that this entire post-COVID world has thrown to us. Now, within this last 5-6 years, the consumer behavior has really evolved and changed dramatically, right? The amount of time spent that it has done on digital has really jumped up.
Yeah. Second screen,
The
third screen.
adoption of UPI, for example, in
Yeah.
India, the penetration of smartphones, for example, the entire experimentation towards e-commerce and quick commerce, right? Their confidence to say that yes, I will go ahead and buy online,
Yes.
and then try it at home, and then be comfortable with that. Monthly baskets for which we've grown up as individuals, where our households used to get on the first or the second of the month, has actually completely got destroyed.
Yes.
In a way that now we don't have monthly baskets, we have weekly basket or a daily
Daily
basket,
basket.
right? And therefore there is a huge amount of shift. And then within all of that, if we really want to continue to win and garner the attention of the consumer, is what each and every company is trying to do. It is what brands and clients are trying to do. It is what the platform owners are trying to do. It is what all of us within the agency ecosystem are trying to do. And we've all felt that we really need investments in data, in technology,
Yes.
to really future proof ourselves. To unlock value for this investment is where all the action is happening. So basically, it is, all of us, because if you see, turbulence or volatility is happening even in the largest of largest platform owners.
Yeah.
They are letting go of thousands and thousands of people. They are consolidating. They're making sure they're trimming down departments which are not working. They are building on departments which they feel are going to be future ready. Likewise, the platform owners. Likewise, the agency. So I'm just saying we're all in the same boat, trying to make sense and trying to plan of things and strategies that will help us win in the future.
Understood. Vinit, I'll come to you since you spoke about measuring so much and analytics. Is there now sharper analytics in sports and entertainment sponsorships? Is there a sharper analytics, or that ROO model has to be further inscribed?
So there always been the measurement metrics, okay, but live sport predominantly is bought not only on the basis of measured value, but there's also perceived value that comes into play. Okay, to me, if you look at some global benchmarks, I think perceived value is far more than measured value. Okay, and that's the beast. I mean, that's the way it is. Okay, now you look at from any IPL team's perspective. Okay, if the 8 teams, whenever they would have
Yeah.
bought it at with the ROI in mind. Okay, that 450 crores wouldn't have become 15,000 crores today, right? Because who had that vision or the foresight?
Yeah.
Okay. Similarly, let's take the example of Vodafone, okay, or DLF, okay, in the first 5 years of IPL, okay. I'm a Mumbai boy, okay. I didn't know. I only knew Roheja and Hiranandani. I didn't know DLF, okay. But that one moment, we knew that he's one of the biggest developers in the country. Now that's the power of sport.
Yes.
Citibank, okay. I mean, when the subprime crisis happened in 2009, Citibank used India and sport so beautifully to say Citibank moment of success, because everything went wrong in the West except India. So that's the power of sport, and to put a number to it or a measurement metrics to it is a little tricky, and therefore I said it's a combination of measured value and perceived
But you
value.
already put a measurement metric. We've already put.
Okay, we are almost nearing the end of the discussion. Although I have several more questions which I would love to continue having, but you all spoke about regional markets, and I don't think I was able to cover that. So I said, let me pose it right now. Do you feel that regional markets are now going to be central to media investment strategy? Is that something we've not touched enough?
To Ashwin's point earlier, and I will reiterate that the principle of media deployment is that money will follow where the eyeballs are. So that if the eyeballs are in regional, we will put money on regional.
Fair
If
enough.
the eyeballs are in, say, there's some other cohort, we will put money over there. That will continue to happen. That has not changed. It is what it is right now. It will continue to be like that. Right?
Got it. Okay, that brings us to a rapid fire moment. I hope we are ready for that
We're
one.
skipping it, but it's okay.
No, we can hear the questions out, but what I'll do is I won't pose individual questions. Whoever answers first, there are only 5 questions. Only 5. Whoever wants to answer can answer first. So I'll go first. I'll ask first. The first question: most overrated trend in advertising.
Performance is everything.
The most underestimated opportunity.
I think
I would say influencer marketing.
influence.
One capability agencies must invest in immediately.
Agencies must increase their investment on talent by 2x.
Yeah, surely relevant to it.
Brand budgets: expansion, caution, or reallocation.
Expansion.
The metric that will matter most next year can be 26. Also, we are
Business.
business. That sums it up. And my final question to each panelist. Now again, y'all can answer this as a group. It's like if you have to advise marketing folks in one sentence for the year, new marketers who are graduating from B schools, what is it that they must have to have a right to win in a market like India? Or any
You're saying one line of advice to marketers.
yes, to young marketers, what would it take to win in today's landscape? What would you tell a new joinee in your team?
I would just say that we are not one market. Recognize that we are a
It's a good one.
we're a
Yeah.
billion plus consumers. We are not one market. Culturally, we are extremely different. And deploy the power of technology to harness understanding of billion plus consumers and audiences to make the most for your brand. I think these two in combination will make their life slightly more easier.
Yes, that's very well put. Thank you so much. This was an absolute masterclass. Thank you so much, and it was a pleasure having you.